Good morning, guys. This is Smurfin 2GC. Here back again. Now I just want to show you guys a little bit of the update on the MK4 Supra, on the progress that we've been working on. Now right now we actually made a huge progress on this. As you guys can see, I already have the turbo mounted on there. I was waiting for the V-band to come in, which I already have it. I have the V-band. The wiring harness has been installed too as well. I ran all the entire wiring harness from the bottom of it. As you can see, it does run through the firewall right here. Goes in there. It's kind of a little bit tricky to get it tucked in there, but it was two of us, me and my brother. It was the one. You had to kind of individually shove each connection to make sure you don't damage any of the connection pins. So we took our time to install this. On the wiring harness, I did have to remove the intake manifold one more time, and as you can see, I mean, I had only put 2 bolts on there because I had already watched a couple videos on see how the people usually lay the wiring harness, and most of them do have to lift this intake back out. So that's why I had only left 2 of them, so in case I did need to lift it back up, it was easy for me to do that, which everything turned out pretty great. Now, things I was kind of struggling or was on the coolant temperature sensor. As you can see, this one here kind of did have to buy this fitting here because it wouldn't actually thread onto the actual tubing housing, so I did have to do like an adapter plate on this one for the boost gauge. Normally I usually run the regular rubber ones, but for this one I decided to go with the steel one, and the reason being is because it gets pretty hot in there on the bottom right there. So I wanted to make sure that in case this touches against the exhaust manifold, it's not gonna melt. So it's better to go with the metal casting on there. On these, I do know it's kind of looks a little ghetto, but it works. Yeah, so I'll probably just leave it be in case I do need to or want to add an electronic boost controllers. At least I have the fittings to kind of just take them off from there, so I can always make some good use of those. The oil drain, it fitted perfectly with no issues. I did have to kind of loosen up the actual turbo housing so I can kind of clock it. As you can see, this is kind of loose, so you can kind of move it too. So a couple things that I'm still waiting on. I couldn't figure out what this connection was until I read that actual sheet that I have back there, and this is for the flex fuel sensor. Now originally this one had the return line, but I decided to actually plug it from the inside. So this is not definitely gonna leak, but I am gonna have to remove it one more time so I can go ahead and install that pretty much E85 sensor that goes in there, which I had already purchased from AEM. Other things, just a couple little stuff there. This connection too, this is for the wideband oxygen sensor, which I already have it there. I am also going to, besides this particular sensor, I'm also going to be running an AEM, so it's gonna have pretty much one for the computer and then one for the internal of the car, of the gauge, just to make sure I keep the air fuel ratios. At least I'm watching them, so I thought it was a good idea to keep an eye on those. So I have this one, which is already figured out. This one here was another one that I was kind of struggling. This is the map sensor for the that goes here. I actually just received it yesterday, and it's actually in here. Or is it? Very expensive sensor. But I mean, definitely worth it, you know. Make good products, that's for sure. So this is one of the parts that I was waiting for, which is that wideband. And this is for that one. It should just thread in here, then connect it, so it should be a simple install. Other things I am kind of waiting for is this IAT sensor. I'm using the GM one, as you can see it. And that's pretty much. So these, I'm only missing 4 connections in total to have everything figured out. So it's actually not that bad. Also, before I forget too, there's also a oil pressure sending unit sensor that I could not figure out also how to install it, which is somewhere in here. I know it's dangling here somewhere. It's somewhere in there. It's just a 1 connection pinhole. I think it's right here. Oh, right here. It's hiding. So this one, I'm actually going to, I finally figured it out. I'm going to put a sandwich plate on the actual filter, and it's gonna have the port for me to thread the actual oil pressure sending unit. So that should be a quick, you know, that's actually very smart. Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to connect it. There is 2 ports right here on the, let me see if I can flash it right there. There's 2 ports right there on the actual block. One of them I'm using for the feed line. I was thinking of doing like a T on the actual feed line right here, but then it's gonna kind of look ghetto. So and on that one too, there's another feed line right here. I could not figure out I couldn't convert it from that size to the actual, because it goes from metric to some kind of a weird thread for the oil pressure sending switch. So I decided to just do it like that. I mean, it's easier, convenient. It's not really going to damage anything. And then at the same time, you know, in case you do want to, let's say, add in the future another external you know, another gauge maybe to monitor, if you want to make sure, you can always, you know, use that other, because I believe it comes with 2 ports, so you can also use it to have an external gauge inside. So it's always very important to watch the oil, you know, the oil pressure. That's one of the main things too, which I'm probably gonna do, because I always usually like to have 3 gauges. One is for the air fuel, the other one's for boost, and possibly I'm going to go with that oil pressure gauge on that. Now, I'm not too worried about having a fuel gauge. The reason being because I already have a gauge here on this, so I shouldn't have any issues with that. Yeah. So this car, I mean, it should be almost ready. I'm still waiting for the intercooler. I could not get that, and as you guys can see, there's a lot of fittings that I had laying at the house. So this actually helped a lot that I kind of saved it and not got rid of it, because I used a lot of the gaskets here and there. So it's always a good idea to have those just laying around, you know, in case whenever you need them. This intercooler, I could not get it to fit. It's just way too long, way too wide. So I did have to buy a brand new front mount intercooler kit with the piping and all that stuff. Now I still have the blow off valve from the other, from that particular cooler, which I hope it's. I may just use that blow off valve. I think it's probably gonna work. So I have the filter coming too. The piping on the actual turbo, I'm not too sure how I'm gonna route it quite yet. I have no idea. If I do have to maybe trim a little bit of the fender, I will. But this car should be running, I mean, in hopefully a couple weeks. The main thing I'm waiting for is the intercooler. Also the fuel fuel pump right now, I have not messed with it quite yet. I'm still kind of waiting. You know, once I get it to, at least I can crank the car and it starts, then I'm gonna upgrade the fuel, because I want to make sure, you know, the car actually runs before I mess with any of that, because we pretty much changed out the whole entire harness and computer. So I want to make sure that, you know, at least the car runs first, and then I'm gonna upgrade the fuel pump. Yeah, but I want to hear it start first. And I am going with the big pump. I'm not sure about the sizing on there quite yet. I'll probably go with a 255 or like a 3 up in the 300s. Yeah, I don't want to go too crazy with the fuel pump. I mean, if I do, I'll probably have the as a dual setup for a double pumper. But you know, right now, for the power that I'm aiming for this car with the stock transmission, I'm not too worried about having a huge fuel pump on there. So I'll probably just go with the one that's good enough for my goal range. Yeah, which right now I'll probably try to keep it under 500 until we upgrade that transmission. And that's pretty much everything for today, guys. So I just want to kind of give you guys an update. I am making huge progress. I am going to have the installation on that dump pipe right now. The bottom of it, they cannot connect, so I am probably just gonna do a straight pipe all the way to the back for right now, and then pretty much go from there. And then, you know, once I get everything else kind of mocked up together, then I'll probably film, and I'll film, you know, once the intercooler is also installed, and hopefully she runs well and makes some decent power. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you guys on the next video. Thank you.